All right, so we are joined by Dr. Natunya Johnson from the Holmes Community College Ridgeland campus, chair of the Business Technology Department. We have a room full here with us at Velma Jackson, and also we're being joined live by Ms. Kiara Drain with her class as well. And we're recording this for all of Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and the Academic Options Center for our college career readiness curriculum. And we know you are very passionate about the interview essentials and the interview skills and soft skills that young people are missing. And a lot of Madison County seniors come to Holmes Community College. And you have a great program over there, which I know we'll talk about, but I know you wanted to share today about what's important, because one thing I always joke about is you can't just go knock on the door and say, hey, I'm here, hire me. There's a lot of work that's involved in that. And this is a great segue into what we're about to do in class here. So we thank you for joining us today, and I'll let you start with your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pygott. Thank you so much. And hello, students. I am Dr. Natunya Johnson, and I am just delighted to be here today. I always welcome the opportunity to come and speak with high school students, particularly 11th and 12th graders like you. Why? Because most of you all in about 1 to 2 years, hopefully will be spending most of your day with me. So anytime I can ease the transition from high school to the collegiate level, I jump at the opportunity. So thank you, Mr. Pygott, for allowing me to zoom in and just, allow me to be a part of this classroom setting, and to just give some tidbits on interviewing essentials. As you stated, career readiness is a topic that's a wide topic that we can go on and on and on about. So I'm so happy to hear that you on the high school level is you're passionate about that topic, but we're passionate about it as well. So partnering with Holmes Community College, I'm so excited just to come and talk to you about interviewing essentials. But before we dive into that, I want to just tell the students just a little bit about me so that they can relate to where I come from, because I am a product of the public school system as well. I am the oldest of 4 children. I was born to a 14-year-old mother who was born to a 13-year-old mother. So as you can see, the cards were stacked against me very, very early on. And because my mother was a teenage mother, I was raised by my great-grandmother in Gulfport, Mississippi, up until about the age of 5, until my mother graduated her first year of college. And then she came and got me, and I primarily spent the rest of my days here in Jackson. And I graduated from Dawson Elementary School in Jackson. I went on to finish junior high school at Hardy Junior High School, which is now closed. And then from the best high school in the world, Callaway High School. And from then, I graduated from Mississippi State University. When I left Callaway and went to Mississippi State, my counselor at the time was like, Natunya, you're good in math and science, so you should be an engineering major. So family members, engineering in the early 90s. So I went majored in engineering, spent first 2 years, calculus, physics, all of that, to just change my major to business, which was one of the best decisions I could have ever made. So business is my background. I love teaching business technology. I'm the district division chair here at Holmes Community College. I enjoy teaching young people how to take a business degree and take that and go out into the world to provide for themselves within 2 years, to provide for their families if they want to work for companies or become self-employed, be entrepreneurs, whatever it takes to set you up for success. That's what I'm willing to do. And it starts with what we're doing today, interview essentials. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I have a pretty unique perspective. So because I am an entrepreneur, I own 4 businesses. My husband and I own a salon, a construction company. We also own a bar and grill and a property management business. So therefore, I can provide a very unique perspective to interview essentials. The unique position that I can discuss from the perspective of the employer who hires, because I am an employer. I can bring the perspective from an employee because I work for a college, Holmes Community College, but also I can bring the perspective of someone who teaches students or a training background. I have 13 years of training for Blue Cross Blue Shield, where I trained individuals on how to, interview for different careers. So therefore, I'm going to summarize the very important interviewing techniques that you will need in order to project your best self going forward, not only in your personal life, but in your professional life. And so today we will discuss attitude, image, appearance, nonverbal communication, business etiquette, verbal communication, and we'll touch on talking about a 30-second commercial. So you'll see that the techniques that we'll discuss today will not only be beneficial in your professional life, but as I stated, your personal life as well. So you've heard it a million times. First impressions are critical. Did you know that 30 seconds when you meet someone, in the first 30 seconds, they form an impression about you? But for an employer, it only takes 90 seconds. 90 seconds in an interview, they can make up their mind about an interviewee. So you have to put your best foot forward. Every minute in that interview counts. It would be, very, very helpful if you would practice. And that's why it's so important for you to take this time now to work on those skills, because it takes practice. It takes practice. It takes practice interviewing, going through those practice questions. Interviewing is a tough skill to do. So therefore, we're going to just discuss some things that you can do to put your best foot forward so that you can, go into that interview positive, so that that employer can see you as the best person for the job. But I don't want you to look at everything that I'm discussing from the standpoint of landing a job, because these same techniques, as I stated before, you can use those in your personal life. So what I'm going to play for you now is a quick little video that I want you to take a look at, and we're going to discuss it.
Hey, thanks for watching the kids on such short notice. Come on in.
Hey, I know we said 10, but do you think you could stay till 11?
Probably. Let me just call my parole officer.
This is your captain. Oops, never flown one of these. Don't push that, you idiot. That jettisons the fuel. Don't ever call me an idiot. You want to go? You want to do this right here?
How's it going, Coach? Good. Want you to meet your new star running back.
Son, our future is in your hands.
So let's get you checked out here. You say it's the leg here, and oh dear, yeah, that's the lump. Wow, that's cancer. That's gross. What's your schedule look like? We're probably gonna need to amputate today. Do you have a will?
That's my cell phone. I'm here for a flu shot.
Wow, close call. You are lucky to be alive. Let's get that flu shot taken care of. Okay.
Yeah, we're trying out a new small group. I'll talk to you later.
Kill them all as soon as they come in.
He's dead.
Let's get rid of it. Oh, hey guys, come on in. A little bit of a fly problem.
Hey, you guys, welcome to our small group. Come on in.
So as you can see, such a short amount of time is clearly not enough to accurately gauge a person's character, but it's natural for us to make assumptions about someone when we first meet them. So that's why first impressions are important, okay? But unfortunately, sometimes we get attached to that initial impression, and sometimes it's difficult to change someone's opinion after we have that initial impression. And especially if we have evidence, okay? So as the saying goes, you never get a second chance to make a great first impression. All right, the first 30 seconds. Humans form opinions about each other within the first 30 seconds of meeting. So we're just talking about just personal meetings when you just meet someone. Your attitude has an impact on that meeting. It actually has the most impact, 40%. Image and appearance, 25%. Nonverbal and verbal communication, 25%. And then job qualifications, 10%. So that should tell you something about how significant that first impression or that first exposure when you first meet someone is. It's that one and done moment that can have that long lasting repercussion. Now, within that first impression, how you dress and your image is important as well. Remember, we said that that counts for about 25%. Okay, so definitely when you're going to those interviews, 25% of the hiring decision is made based on how you dress. So being neat, make sure that you're groomed properly, that handshake, that posture, making sure that you have eye contact, making sure that you're energetic in the interview, making sure that your voice, you're inflecting your voice and that you're enthusiastic. And we're going to talk about that just a little bit more. So failing to make that first impression, particularly in the workforce, it can have a detrimental effect on the hiring decision. And definitely it can play out in, future decisions and future careers as you try to look for jobs and as you try to make relationships in the workforce. So definitely just try to work on that. So with your attire, when we speak of the dress in a professional setting, and we're not going to just, hone in on this too much, but definitely there are some things that you need to remember for men and for women in the professional environment. So when you're grooming and when you're speaking of your attire, make sure that there's not that you're not being too eccentric. Okay, you want to make sure that you are not. Let's just put it like this then. Make sure that you are being conservative, okay? So lean on the side of being more conservative and just being more business-like as far as your clothing is concerned. You want to make sure that you're demonstrating a sense of pride in your appearance and that you understand the professional world. There is a difference in being professional, and then there's a difference in being business casual. And sometimes there's the lines are kind of blurred. So in the diagram, you have on the left-hand side what professional is, and then on the right-hand side, what business casual is. And a good rule of thumb is basically to know what type of dress is expected. So whenever you're working for an organization or a company, learn to know what the expectations are. And then I just always try to dress one level above of what others do. And therefore you can never go wrong with that rule of thumb. That's just my rule of thumb. Okay. So knowing the rules and then dressing accordingly just demonstrates that you take pride in your appearance and that you understand the professional world. Now, this slide is very important to me because attitude goes a long way. And I want to stay here for a moment because I think that in the high school setting is where, well, actually prior to the high school setting, but definitely, you know, projecting a winning attitude is very, very important. To portray a winning attitude, you really have to believe in positivity. And that starts with positivity through belief. And so to portray positivity in your attitude, you have to aim for or be able to, you have to be able to hone in and recognize that you can be positive. Even though something negative stands in your way, you have to believe that I can do that, whatever it is. Believing utterly that to the deepest level of your being, that you can do absolutely anything that you choose to do if you set your mind to it. In today's world, there is so much negativity in the world. When you turn on the television, you all have the cell phones, the social media platforms, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. So there's so much negativity, and therefore you're going to have a mode or a mindset that even though the outside environment is setting you up for failure in most cases, you have to have a mode of positivity and a field of positivity, and believe that absolutely the limit, you have to believe absolutely that the limitation would never be whether you cannot do something or not, that that you can't do something, that you can do it, that you can do it despite the time, despite your resources, and that it's not beyond your capability, that you can do it. Yes, of course I can. It's not that you cannot. It's not a maybe. It's not a no. It's not, I don't think so. It's not that I'm not sure. It's not a perhaps. It's not, I have to look into it. It's not, well, it's that I can. And it starts with that self-assurance, that self-talk. I even have to do it now. I have sticky notes on my mirror. Some days, you know, I wake up and I may not be in the best mindset and I have to talk to myself. And so that's what I mean by projecting a positive attitude. And sometimes you have to speak that upon yourself. So therefore, if you can believe and show to yourself, and even in an interview, that whatever the problem is, that you can solve it, and that you are well, then you are well on your way to having a highly positive attitude, and that you will be an asset to that company, then you will be the best person for that job, and that will shine through, and that positivity will shine through. So concentrate on being a likable person, even in the classroom and where you are now. You have to concentrate on these skills that we're talking about now, even where you are now, because it starts right now. And if you don't hone in on the skills now, it's going to be hard for you to do that later. So that's why I said what we're talking about now can be applicable in your personal life as well as your professional life. So concentrate on being likable, being friendly, courteous, enthusiastic, speaking positivity. And that's with a smile, projecting the confidence and projecting that pride, and remembering that self-talk.
Yeah, I would go even one step farther and say, you know, I used to interview people as well, and you can have all these great credentials, great ACT score, great GPA, great references, but you're right about the attitude. You come in there negative, and you start blaming your last job on your previous employer, you start looking like you're going to have cause a bad work environment. It doesn't matter how qualified you are. That is a huge red flag for anybody hiring in any field.
Huge red flag. You never go into an interview talking, you never talk negative about a previous employer, negative about yourself, negative about another situation. You always speak positively, even if it was negative. So you keep that to yourself. So let's talk about body language. Body language is just as important. As Mr. Pygott said, you can look just as good on paper, and that's why we're stressing verbal and nonverbal communication, because your resume, your ACT scores will get you in the door, right? But when we speak of interviews and job interviews, scholarship interviews, now they're moving towards, they're wanting to see the whole person. And so therefore, they're wanting to see how you communicate. So you're going to have to be able to sell yourself. You're going to have to be able to communicate your thoughts. And that's not only verbal, but it's nonverbal. So body language is everything, right? So this gentleman on this slide is just, displaying various types of gestures and body language. So I put this slide here because I want you to be conscious of that, because body language is a form of nonverbal communication. So just make sure that your posture and your gestures are conveying credibility and self-assurance and confidence at all times, okay? So just make sure that you are aware of that. Definitely, some of the things, make sure that you're smiling. If you tend to tense up easily, remember to change and switch your body positions. For the young men, not only the young men, but the young women, in your handshakes, make sure that they're firm, make sure you're making eye contact. Very, very important. I know it sounds antiquated, but we still look for that. Strong handshakes, eye contact is very, very important. Your facial expressions, just make sure that they're pleasant, that you're smiling, that you look like you want to be there, and that you're not, frowning or giving off any type of nonverbal clues that may be perceived as being negative. Always greet the interviewer by name, speak clearly, use correct grammar. That's why you've taken 12 years of English. Avoid using jargon, avoid using informal chatty tone as the slides.
So basically, don't speak like you text.
Exactly. Definitely. And we're going to get to that in just a minute. Communication skills are very, very important. And that's why you're learning them in school now, because they are transferable. They are essential across all aspects of life. And please, I have braces, so that's why I kind of get a little tongue-tied. But communication skills are very, very important. So with all the social media taking up such a large space in our lives, many of us question whether it's impacting our communication skills. More importantly, our students' communication skills. As an educator, as an employer, as a mom, because I have a recent high school graduate who's a junior now at USA, and I worry about the repercussions of social media and that will have on my daughter's critical thinking, on her writing, on her personal and her academic communication skills. But I sometimes pause and think, and I say, okay, social media does have an impact, but it does have a negative, but it also has a positive. And I just have to remind myself that the use of social media by my students can have just as a positive impact as a negative impact. So the blogging and the texting and the tweeting on social media, guys, is actual writing. So writing is real writing because it's actually using your voice. So therefore, I want you to continue to nurture your voice, and your voice is to be appreciated, okay? And social media is a form of an outlet that you can use to communicate. So I believe in you. Your educators believe in you. So therefore, we want you to produce great thoughts and ideas through these various social media platforms, okay? So we believe that social media is a powerful element of connectedness that can, help you to pass on your thoughts. I feel that, it can be used to drive impactful change if used in the correct way. So remember that when you are putting things on social media, that it is a representation of yourself and what you stand for. So just remember that employers are also now using social media and other platforms as screening tools for jobs, just like anything else. So just always present the best part of you. So now with your face-to-face and your virtual interviews, again, as the slide says, remember to greet the interviewer by name, speak energetic, use a positive tone, remember your grammar, and just always just try to present the best part of you, whether it's face-to-face or whether it's social media or whether it's virtually, because a lot of interviews and everything, they're going to a virtual platform as well. Okay. All right, so 30-second commercials. I want to talk about that because I know we're kind of running short on time. 30-second commercials. Basically, this is one thing that I really do believe in, and I think that every student should have a 30-second commercial. On the collegiate level, I consider it an elevator speech. I use them to this day. I do a lot of networking in my professional life, and everyone needs an elevator speech. When you get on the elevator, let's just say you were meeting someone, very important, and you want them to know something about you, or the best, the most important things about you. In 30 seconds, you should have a speech ready to go, okay? And basically that speech is going to contain very important information about your background, your qualifications, and your skills that you can quickly and concisely introduce yourself to a potential employer. So that may be something, if you all have not already, may have worked on in the classroom. Typically, I have my students to come up with one and present one, and we critique each other. But basically, work on your 30-second commercial. That may be something that I may have Mr. Pygott have you all to do, and I come in and listen to those on another occasion. I will be really interested in seeing what you come up with. But that 30-second commercial will highlight your best qualities and show how they benefit, an employer. Okay, so work on that. And then a self-inventory. Everyone should take a self-assessment, at some point or another. And you can't do a resume or compile a cover letter unless you do a self-inventory of yourself, okay? So you have to do this in order to build the information that you need in order to compile your resume and your cover letter, which I was told that you all have started working on that. So basically, a self-assessment makes you sure and confident about the capabilities of where you are, okay? And basically, it will tell you what you need to work on, areas where you may need to improve, and things of that sort. So at this point is where you're, compiling essential information where you may need to be tweaking your resume, working on your interviews, doing your job searches, basically, just assessing yourself and, working on the areas where you may need to improve, or you may need some additional training. So definitely everyone should do this, depending on, it doesn't matter whether you're a baby in your career or whether you're, at a senior level position like myself. Everyone should do self-inventory, at some point or another. On your resume, documenting your education. This is one of the first things that you should do. I just put this here as a reminder that when you're documenting your education, making sure that you're completing everything, the high school, the location. If you are taking dual enrollment courses on the collegiate level, and you are listing a future degree, it's okay to put that on there with a future date of graduation. You can list it in progress education. So many students are not aware of that. So if you're not finished with your degree, you can still include that work if you're not finished, because employers are still interested in what you are studying if it is still in progress. Also, certifications, if you're working on certifications, those are just as important, if not as valuable as degrees. And that is a whole nother session that I can talk about, certifications. So definitely certifications are very valuable in today's workforce. So definitely add that to the education area on your resumes. Document your experience in high school. If you have volunteer work, internships, any non-paid work, any work in the church, all of that should be documented on your resume, because it will seem pointless. So a resume you need to approach a resume the same way you would approach a college application or a scholarship application. You want to capture your strengths. You want to prove that you have what it takes, and you want it to show off your best attributes. And you have to start somewhere. So it does not have to only include paid work experience, is what I'm trying to stress. All right. And at the core of your resume, remember that you want it to be simple, but you want it to showcase who you are. So any skills, any capabilities, any accomplishments, your clubs, your activities, your honors, your awards, hobbies, make sure you include all of those on your resume. Okay, you want it to be balanced. You don't want a lot of white space on your resume. Okay, you don't want it to be too wordy either, but you do want it to be balanced. You want it to be something that you want to be proud of, and it needs to be a reflection of who you are. Okay. And job specific skills. Definitely, if you are working on a job and you definitely have a specific trade, I know that some of you all attend VOTEC, right? Definitely include and highlight and play up those VOTEC skills on your resume, because those skills allow you to be put in a totally separate category. Those job specific skills are very important because they show that you have the specific skill set that excel in a certain area. Okay. And so those are particularly important when being hired by employers that are looking for a certain set of skills in a certain area. So definitely you want to play up those, any type of computer or electronic or trade skills, definitely highlight those on your resume.
TikTok and Snapchat, that means the actual software, the operating systems and the software, because every industry is going to have different software.
Right, and exactly, like or HVAC or welding skills or refrigeration, plumbing, all of those different types of trade skills as well. Those are very important as well. So any type of skill that will set you apart from the competition, you definitely want to play up on those. References, okay. So employers usually ask for your references after they have interviewed you. They want to check out what you have said about yourself, because your resume is basically a compilation of what you think, is what you is a portrait of what you have painted. So therefore they want to cross-check what you said. So they also want to see if you're a good fit for a job and for their workplace. So because of potential legal issues, some employers, they don't want to provide many details about former employees. So a personal reference is a reference that's provided by someone who knows you personally. And personal references are often used to confirm things about your character or your personal history. A professional reference or an academic reference may be used to confirm your work history or your school history. So make sure that you're including those and make sure that you're keeping those relationships intact with those teachers like Mr. Pygott, or, and that you're building those relationships and you're cultivating those relationships, because you're going to need those, because you don't put just anybody as a reference, because we call people and you never know what people are going to say about you. And you want to use people that are going to say good things. So you don't put people that are going to say negative things about you, because you're not going to get the job if you do so. So definitely make sure that you're using credible references on your resumes for jobs as well as scholarships. Okay. So different jobs require different qualities in employees. So what a hiring manager is looking for is going to vary from interview to interview. But there are some behaviors and there are some decisions that are incredibly annoying and that will definitely not get you the job. So I'm going to play this quick little video so that you can observe the behaviors that will get your resume and cover letter tossed into the recycling bin.
In this week's video, we're going to go over how to not get hired. That's coming up. Hi guys, I'm Kim with Snag-a-Job, your #1 source for hourly jobs, and welcome to our weekly advice show. Now you're probably thinking, why would I want to know how to not get hired? Well, you might be guilty of these job search mistakes and not even know it. Check out these don'ts that will definitely cost you the job. First, show up late. Time is money and employers don't have any to waste. The last thing you want to do is keep them waiting while you're trying to make an awesome first impression. Fashionably late just doesn't exist in interview time. Second, be brutally honest. Save your no-filter approach to your Instagram pictures and not your job interview.
I really hate talking to people. I'm really awkward when it comes to conversations, but I heard you get great tips here, and I'm really looking to get some money.
I applied to like 30 jobs, so could you just remind me, what was this position for?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? Oh, wow. I have no idea. I don't even know what I want to eat tonight.
Third, have a bad attitude. Being a negative Nancy won't get you hired. The employer will assume it's the same way you'll treat your customers.
You need me to show up in person? I have to shower, get dressed, and drive there? We're on the phone now. How about a phone interview instead?
Hello? Who is this? Oh. Yeah, well, I don't really like talking on the phone, so if you could just text me when I need to show up for the interview and, like, the address, and I'll show up whenever I can.
Fourth, be unprofessional. If you're not presenting yourself in a professional manner, whether it's your interview outfit, email address, or even your social media profile, the employer won't want you representing their company as well.
I would be a great fit for this position because, oh my gosh, so tired. Excuse me, what were you asking?
So thanks for joining us today. If you like this video, please let us know below so we know to keep making videos like this. If you have any questions about your job search, ask below and we'll be sure to get back to you. Now don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking that button right there and you'll get a new job search video every week. And if you're ready to get your job search started, click the button down there and we'll fill your inbox with job opportunities in your area. Bye!
And as crazy as that is, I've seen a lot of that happen.
I know, right? So this is pretty much the end of my presentation. I will entertain any questions that you have at this time. I thank you all for your undivided attention, and so I entertain any questions. I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had myself muted. I'm here. So obviously we're huge supporters of your program over at Holmes. A lot of Madison County School students go to Holmes and Ridgeland. So talk a little bit about the business technology program and what those skills they would gain, whether or not they want to just do the 1-year certificate, the associates, or they want to transfer to university, because all those are options that Holmes Community College would offer. So talk a little bit about that program and some of the jobs and degrees that you guys are preparing for.
Sure. So under my umbrella business technology, we have 5 programs. One is administrative office. We have billing and coding, medical office technology, accounting technology, and business management technology. So the 3 that we primarily promote are billing and coding, medical office technology, and business management. Those 3, because those are the 3 that are in highest demand. Healthcare is in highest demand, period. Billing and coding and medical office, those 2 degrees, you can come and get a 1-year certificate, but we primarily try to promote the 2-year certificate with our students because that 2-year certificate coupled with a certification can land them a job in an office, a doctor's office, insurance company. They can even work from home. As a medical coder, certified medical coder, where they can make a very good career after 2 years. And it just depends on the industry as to the pay. But I would say starting salary after 2 years, minimum starting 40 up with that certification, I must add. But that could range differently because I've had students to land jobs, 50,000. It just depends on where. And that's not bad for 2 years.
Oh.
Not bad for 2 years. So career technical education, I believe in career technical education, which is my programs fall under that. Because for so many years, we've conditioned students to think that they have to go to a 4-year college in order to be successful. And that's just not so. So career technical education can provide students with skills necessary to go out into the workforce and be just as successful. Also, with the changes that have been made, we have articulation agreements with universities where our students can go on and complete their bachelor's degrees and in 4 years as well. So it is not no longer in the past where career technical education students were thought of to not go on to a 4-year and get a bachelor's degree, or they had to start over. There are universities such as the W that has taken all 60 hours of credits, and they can go there and complete the last 2 years and obtain a bachelor's of science degree. Yeah. So definitely encourage the students to just come by and talk with me as well as some of the counselors here about our programs, because we have some really good programs here on this campus as well as some of the other campuses. We teach hybrid, we teach online programs. We have a lot of course offerings that are flexible to meet the needs of the students.
Yeah, and that's a great point because these, especially the in-state universities, are really, really becoming more transfer friendly. So just, it's important for these young people to realize because you go to Holmes or a community college your first 2 years, that doesn't mean you can't get a degree. So you can still Absolutely. Have a university experience.
Absolutely.
And they are willing to take you in Holmes. They want you to get to that next level if that's
Absolutely.
So I think that's important to remember. But I do have a few questions for the students, and this person is great. This is Deshana Woodard. She's a junior, and she asked, "What are the most common interview questions?"
The most common interview questions are, "Tell me a little bit about yourself." That is, you're not going to be in an interview without having that question. And that's where that 30-second commercial that I was talking about comes into play. you're gonna definitely have that question. So definitely, what was her name?
Deshauna Woodard.
Deshauna. So Deshauna, definitely, work on that 30-second commercial. You can use that over and over again. You may have to tweak it here and there, but definitely that one. Of course, your strengths and weaknesses. And of course, you have always been told to never, tell a true weakness without turning it into a strength. But strengths and weaknesses, and tell me a little bit about yourself. So those are some of the most common ones that you will hear.
Yeah, and you talked about practice. I think it's very easy to go and look what the most common interview questions are and have answers prepared, or at least have an idea of what they're going to ask.
Exactly.
And something I always say, no matter what you're interviewing for, if you go in and they ask, do you have any questions? The answer is never no.
Exactly. You always have questions at the end. So I tell my students, research that company before you go in. Have at least 3 questions. You can find anything on the internet now. Even when they ask, you always have a question. Always. That just looks good to the employer that you have that you're inquisitive, that you have a stake in this, that you're not just there, it's not one-sided, the interview is not one-sided. So, what I typically do in my career readiness class, I have my students I give them practice questions like the strengths and weaknesses, and I'll have them to answer the questions using their phone, and they'll do a video and they'll upload it to Canvas. And then I'll grade it that way. And then we as a class will critique it. I'll pull it up on the overhead, and we'll just look at them in class, and we'll just say, okay, well, Cedric, you could have said this, or I would have said that from a constructive, perspective, because sometimes, students will take it better from another students. And sometimes they'll give a different perspective, and I'll say, oh, okay, yeah, that's okay. I can see that, So definitely work on that 30-second commercial, Deshauna. Yes.
And that would be, like you said, that'd be for several aspects and for any industry. This is Alexander Williams, and he asked, what are some things that you see what are some ways you see business technology growing in the future?
Some ways that I see business technology growing in the future. What I can see now, from my advisory council, COVID has changed the landscape of a lot of employers. And so virtual jobs, virtual careers is like exploding. And so we have advisory councils, just as you have, Mr. Pygott. And so my advisory council told me to start working with my students on virtual interviews, and working with them on the comfort level of virtual interviewing. And so that's what I'm going to start implementing. But as far as business technology in particular, my advisory council said, I don't know if you all Excel in the classroom, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access, that employers are really looking for students to have an advanced level of Excel and Microsoft Access knowledge. So Word is just common, but they're definitely now looking for Microsoft Access and Excel and an advanced knowledge level of that.
Yeah, and we're all watching you on MacBooks right now, but I try to tell them iOS isn't all there is. Knowing the Windows and all the other stuff is going to be extremely important in any field.
Exactly. So you all are Mac driven, Mr. Pygott?
At the Madison County schools, all the students have MacBooks.
Gotcha.
I just got one more from the students. This is Ashley Stanford. She's also a junior, and she asked, what is the biggest motivation you've had to get to where you are in your career?
Thank you, Ashley. The biggest motivation that I have had, I've always been self-driven, Ashley, because of, like I had said at the onset of my video, my mom was a teenage mom. My grandmother was a teenage mom, and both of them hardworking, always been hardworking. And so I come from a long lineage of just hardworking women in general. And so, so it's just instilled and ingrained in me. And so, I just had to do it. And so I wanted to, number one, break the generational curse. And so I only have one child. I waited until I was 28 to have my daughter. So I broke that generational curse because I didn't want to be a teenage mom, because I saw how hard it was for my mom, although my mom is very successful now. And I was the only child that she had, but it was still hard for her. It was hard for my grandmother, because she was a teenage mom, but she married early, but she was an early widower. Okay. So those women taught me a lot. I saw them, both of them, and my grandmother was a young grandmother, but she was very successful in her career. So I saw them work and work up to, my grandmother retired as a director for the state of Mississippi. And she was like a director 5. And then my mom works for the state of Mississippi now, the Department of Human Services. And so I've just had very good examples and role models. And that's what I've always done. And so, and also I try to help others. I'm a servant leader. So I'm not just a leader, but I like to give back. And I like to, just help others. And so that's why I'm so passionate with my students. And when I see someone that's just as passionate, I will help you, so if you're willing to get to a point, I will work with you along the way, So just drive and ambition, and if you have that, you can do anything. You really can.
Yeah, and we're almost out of time. Before we go, and we thank you so much. That was a great presentation. But before we go, I see a lot of young people like you do. And I hear a lot of dreams and a lot of expectations. I want to do this. I want to go to this big school. I want to have this big job. But then it's, oh, I don't want to get that. I don't want to write an essay. That's too hard to get a scholarship. I don't want to write an essay. That's too hard. I don't want to speak in front of a class. And, these communication skills are vital. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what gender you are. It's going to be needed. And if you want your situation to change in life, nobody can change it until you do. It doesn't matter how good a student you are. It doesn't matter how smart you are or how pretty you are. You've got to be able to present yourself written and verbal. So what can they do to hone in on that to be as successful as possible?
I wish, and I'm going to talk to Mr. Pygott about, my husband needs to come and speak with you. My husband growing up had a stuttering problem. He's actually a better speaker than I am, a better public speaker than I am. My husband he has an associate's degree, and I tell this story, I use him all the time. He has an associate's degree, and he makes much more money than I do, but he's a hard worker. He's a visionary, and he loves speaking to young people. And he tells young people all the time that you have to believe in yourself, right? You have to have a vision for yourself. Everyone's circumstances are different. Everyone has, different circumstances. Everyone, is not going to have a silver spoon, you know what I'm saying? And so you have to recognize where you are, and you have to just make a decision. It's just that simple. You have to make a decision what you want to do with your life, and you have to just start. It's just that simple. And so, and I'll talk with you about that, Mr. Pygott. He would love to come and speak with them, and give a totally different perspective as well, because he's an entrepreneur. I work for someone, and I'm kind of I straddle the fence, but he is a total entrepreneur that has done it. And so, and that takes drive and ambition, and intuition and all of that. And so you can do it, anyone can do it, but you have to make a decision to do it. And it starts in the high school. It starts now. And that's why I said the skills that I talked about were, for interviewing, but life is interviewing. Life is an interview. It is.
Now before we go, I tell them, especially the folks over at Ridgeland High, you're right down the street. They need to come visit and see what all you guys are doing over there.
All you have to do is shoot me an email, njohnson@homecc.edu. Call me 601-605-3330. My door is open all the time. I am willing to speak with you. If you're interested in anything else, I will put you in contact with whomever. So you don't even have to be interested in my programs. Show me an interest and I will work with you. I will.
And that's that great atmosphere that you guys have created over at Holmes Community College, really wanting to get those students coming out of high school into the workforce and into the university. So again, anybody wanting to check it out over at Holmes Community College Ridgeland, especially our Ridgeland folks over there, right, literally a half mile down the road, please check them out. But Dr. Natunya Johnson, we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very welcome. Talk to you soon.